Well, he's a storyteller, an author, entertainer, and much more. Tariiq Omari Walton is a local talent who has made a name for himself in the Washington region. He joins us now in studio to talk about some of his recent works and events in the community. Welcome.
Thank you.
So, let's see, you moved to Maryland. You're not from here originally.
Nope. I'm a New Yorker.
And you live in Mount Rainier.
I sure do.
And you host a radio show?
Host a radio show.
Tell me about that.
I am on WOL, 1450 AM. I'm with the Moon Man, who is a big figure, old figure here in D.C. I came onto a show about 2 years ago. It's a Saturday night, 8 o'clock to midnight talk show, and we just talk about everything, absolutely everything.
And you host a bunch of discussions in Mount Rainier weekly.
Yep.
What kind of things do you talk about? You invite the public in and...
Primarily interpersonal relationships, looking at the way that you approach your relationships, talking about your families, friendships, romantic relationships, everything.
And this is at Atmosphere Cafe.
Atmosphere Cafe.
Artmosphere.
Artmosphere, yes.
And you talk about relationships, which is actually a topic of one of the books you wrote.
You got it.
And it's called It's Just a Damn Date, Why We Expect Too Much Too Soon.
Correct.
Now,
Yep.
are you married?
No, I'm not.
But you feel that you are an expert enough to write about a book about dating?
Having been here in the D.C. area for the past 8 years, you get a lot of experience dating.
Talk to us about some tips you have for women in this book.
Well, you know, the book is pretty universal. It's for women and for men. And one of the main things I talk about is understanding that you have to take somebody where they are as opposed to where you want them to be. So if you're dating them, if you're building a relationship with somebody, you can't expect them to change to what it is that you want them to be. You have to take them right where they are. If you can't take them where they are, move on. So
do you have a lot of experience with bad dates that helped you write this book and what women should and shouldn't do?
Bad dates, good dates, but also a lot of interviews. I've interviewed a lot of people in order to get the information for the book. Funny enough, when I was writing one of my other books, I would have people come up to me, you know, and just talk to me about their own relationships. And I began to find out that everyone has the same issues. They all go through the same experiences, just different names, different faces, different times. And you know, I figured, you know what, this story needs to go out there. People need to understand you're not alone. Somebody else is going through the same thing you've gone through too.
Well, what has been the reaction to people who've read your book? What have they said to you?
I've gotten a lot of different reactions. Most of all, people just really enjoyed it. They like the fact that there's something out there that kind of reaffirms what they're going through. I've also gotten back people saying, thank you. I finally was able to break up with whoever I was with before because they saw that they were making some of the same mistakes, getting themselves stuck in the same cycles, and they recognized that it's time to move on. You know, so I've gotten a lot of different kinds of feedback. But people overall really seem to enjoy the book.
Now, after you wrote that book, you wrote Crystal's Tears.
Right.
In 2007.
That one came out in 2007.
Talk to me about what this book is about.
That's a funny story. It came about from a conversation that I had with two of my female friends on a three-way phone conversation. Essentially, the book is about a woman, she's 32 years old, school teacher, finds out she's going through menopause already. And so she has a very short window of time to get pregnant if she ever wants to get pregnant. So it's about her journey going out there to try and find somebody to basically get her knocked up, you know.
As a male who writes about relationships, what made you decide to write from the female perspective?
Just, you know, I grew up with a lot of women. I have nothing but aunts. I have maybe 2 uncles and about 25 aunts.
Wow.
And so, well, over-exaggerating, 20. But having grown up with so many women around me, so many of their friends, always having female friends and just having all these women around me, it kind of gave me an interesting perspective. You know, I have the male perspective from my brothers, and I have a little sister who's 15 years old and seeing what she's going through. Just always having all these women around me, I was like, you know what, I think I know how to tell this story a little bit. Not as well as them, but a little bit.
Now, you actually left an administrative job at Bowie State University to pursue your interest in becoming an author and starting your own production company. What gave you the courage to do that, to leave that security for the unknown? It was hard.
It was hard. But one of the things where I realized you have to go out there and at least try and live your dream at least once, because if you don't, you'll always regret it. And I do not believe in living with regrets, whether it's in a relationship, whether it's life decisions, whatever. I don't believe in living with regrets. So I figured just go out there, give it a shot. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, I'll try something else or go back to work.
Now, you've actually taken to the streets of D.C. to help sell your books. What has that experience been like?
I'm gonna tell you the truth, it's been hard. You know, standing on your feet for 6 hours a day in 140-degree weather, you know, it hurts your back a lot, but it's been one of the most fulfilling experiences of my life. You know, being outside, meeting different people every day. When I used to be a teacher, I used to hate the fact that I had the same students every day all year long. I love being out on the streets where I get to meet different people every single day, just enjoy the different conversations. And because of what I'm doing, people really just seem to just take to me. They like to come up and talk to me every day. It became like having coworkers. Being out on the street, you see the same people when you meet new people, whatever. But you got so used to seeing the same people, it's like, I'm at work anyway.
Well, obviously the message coming from this interview is follow your dreams.
You have to.
It will be worth it. Thank you so much for joining us
today.
For having
me.
And you can find out more about Tariiq Walton, his books, and ongoing projects by logging on to omaribooks.com.